There's an ancient Greek myth about Sisyphus.
It's a guy, trying to get a rock up a hill.
Why?
They made him.
Who made him?
The gods. They're just trying to punish him, I think.
Did he deserve it?
Probably.
Did he like it?
Probably not.
And the philosopher Albert Camus said that we must imagine Sisyphus happy, that we find meaning in this endless struggle. And when I opened my gym, I truly believed that. In 2016, after Catherine and I got married, we moved right to Jacksonville. I knew 3 people here: my wife, her mom, and her dad. And 10 months later, I opened Jacksonville Fitness Academy. And despite the fact that I had no network, on the day that we opened, we were already at half capacity. We already had a full roster of clients. We were profitable before we even opened the door. And from there, we grew fast. At most points, we had 5 trainers on staff. We had a loyal community of great members who were really getting value from what we did, who loved the training, and who for the most part were a joy to be around. Because of all this, I became the fitness guy in Jacksonville. I was on local news all the time. I was on local talk shows regularly. I wrote for the local magazines. People knew me when they went out to places. So from the outside, it looked like I had it all figured out. And inside, I told myself that same thing that Camus said, that the work's the point, that the grind is where you find that meaning. But what no one tells you, what no one talks about, is when that boulder you're pushing up the hill stops building you and actually starts to break you. I've been sober for over 12 years, almost 13 years. And sobriety taught me some very important lessons. But most importantly, it taught me that discipline beats willpower and your habits will always outwork your intentions. And I say that because I applied that to fitness. Fitness is really the vehicle that allowed me to rebuild myself, not just on the outside, but on the inside. I quickly learned that fitness is the fastest path to personal power, as douchey as that sounds, to feeling like you have control over your life, control over yourself, that you can purposely put yourself through something difficult, overcome it, and come out better on the other side. It was proof that change and transformation became possible, but only if you keep showing up, even on days when it's hard, even on days when it's boring. And that's why Jack's Fit mattered so much to me. That's why coaching people in fitness mattered so much to me. Every client that came in wasn't just a client. They weren't just a number on a spreadsheet. They weren't just a name in our Google Drive. They were a real person who was trying to crawl out of some darkness similar to where I came from. And I knew that by improving this simple part of their life, we could enact some serious change on who they are as a person. And service was always at the forefront, and I had a code for how I serve people. It was a line from a prayer from St. Ignatius: to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest. That has largely been my compass in my life, and especially when it came to owning a gym. And for a long time, I did find meaning in that giving of myself to others, but there are certain things that no one tells you about owning a gym. The first thing is that you're always on. Jack's Fit opened at 5:30 a.m. and didn't close until 7:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. We were also open Saturday morning. So that means that I was up before the sun came up, and I was home after dark and running on 3 hours of sleep for years. And even when that last session was over, it wasn't done, it wasn't over. My phone would vibrate constantly the whole time I was at home, but with my wife for the first time that day. People asking about macros, people asking to reschedule, someone wanting to freeze their membership even though it was against the policy agreement. And I felt compelled to answer because 1, I cared, 2, I wanted to serve them, and 3, if I didn't, they'd find a gym that did. At some point, you stop becoming a trainer, you stop becoming a coach, you stop becoming a business owner, you stop becoming a service provider, and you just become a subscription service. Well, the second thing is that boundaries don't exist. No matter how hard and how many times you try to set them, with your availability, with your hours, with the session time, with how the contracts work, legally binding signed contracts, people don't give a shit anymore. People will bulldoze every single boundary that you set. There's a change in the American people after COVID. I'm not the first person to say that. It's not like it's some profound thought, but everybody thinks that the world is just them, that they are the center of the world, and all rules, expectations, and boundaries should bend when they want them to. And if they don't, they flip the fuck out. You get the text like, hey, I can't make my 6:30 session. Can I come tonight at 8:30? It's like, we're not open at 8:30. We've never been open at 8:30. You know that. And then people canceling 10 minutes before and be like, hey, I know the cancellation policy is 6 hours, but you don't have to apply it, right? It's like, no, this is just how I feed my family. Of course I don't have to apply the way we make money to you, you special snowflake. I'd lay down rules, expectations, our onboarding was rigorous, but every single time, clients would bulldoze all of that like it didn't exist. We had contracts, black and white, legally binding from the state of Florida, verified by the state, verified by the health department, but people would act like they didn't exist, like we had to do whatever the fuck they wanted. And if you enforce those rules, whew, the text messages we got were insane. Crazy texts from people, threats, manipulations. People weaponizing their phone at 11:30 p.m. to tell you that they were gonna, sue you or leave a bad review just because you didn't allow them to reschedule 10 minutes before their session. It's wild. The third thing is that your family gets the scraps of it. So if you're like me and you think the whole purpose of your life is your family, you're in for a fun awakening. Because also, if you care about what you do, if you care about serving, you're going to give a lot to your clients. So every single ounce of my energy went into our clients, both when they were there and when they weren't there. So by the time I walked in my own front door, I was like a shell of a man. And I feel horrible about this because it's the exact opposite of who I want to be, but I remember have many vivid memories of my oldest telling me stories about school, telling me stories about dance, just telling me stories because she's really smart about the stuff that she's learned. And she's animated and she cares and she clearly wants to engage with her father. And I just had nothing left to give her. I wasn't really mentally there. I was mentally still caught up in the payroll, caught up in dealing with employee bullshit. My daughter, the person who means the most to me in the world, she was getting a shell of the man that her father is. And that's the worst, absolute worst feeling you can have as a parent. To be with your child, but not to be able to be with your child because of all the other bullshit on your back, because of that rock that you have to push up that mountain every single day. That's the most important cost to me that no one talks about. Your kids aren't going to get the best of it. I mean, look at the examples of successful business owners whose kids are just pieces of shit. Look at the studies of generational wealth, how that second generation pretty much always squanders it because they weren't raised by their father. Their father wasn't there. He was building something great. He was building a legacy, but fuck that. You know, we're not going to be J.D. Rockefeller. Like, I have the utmost respect for the Alex Hormozis of the world who can give their life to their business. But for the rest of us who legacy isn't our top priority, raising a great family and building a loving home so your kids are fully functioning, exemplary adults who don't feel like they have to go online and fit in with some group of fucking weirdos and be manipulated is our top purpose. And for guys like me, the ability to give yourself fully to a business, if it costs that ability to father your children the way you want to father, it's just not fucking worth it. The fourth thing is that employees are awful, especially now. I'm just gonna come out the bat and say it. Gen Z, 99% unemployed. 1% the best people in the world, but 99% unable to get outside themselves, unable to give anything of themselves to other people, and not make themselves the center of attention.
You can't stop what's coming.
It's common business advice, build a team, delegate. That sounds great in theory, looks great in all the business books. If I had a whiteboard here with like an employee tree and like the roles and stuff, that would be great. But the reality is that there's a very small percentage of people who are employable, especially in the service business. It's a stupid expectation to expect your employees, your trainers to care as much as you do, but they need to at least care for the hours that they're there. And they don't need to care about the business per se. They just need to care about serving the people in front of them, about not making it about themselves, about actually giving the clients the product that they signed up for. I had trainers who begged for a chance, who would flake on sessions 10 minutes before, people who would show up late, people who would be on their phone the whole time. I can't count the number of times I had to cancel plans, kids' birthdays, going out to see a movie, going to see my favorite band in concert, a fucking wedding anniversary, because 10 minutes before a session was supposed to start, a trainer flaked out, and of course no one can cover their session with 10 minutes warning, so that means that it's me. I've had people cancel for mental health days because they broke up with their girlfriend of 3 months. Just all sorts of crazy, childish bullshit. Employees want the perks of your thriving business, but when it comes time to carry the weight, you're pushing a boulder, most of them won't even carry a pebble. For 9 years, I told myself that that was the deal. This is what I signed up for, and that's true. That is what I signed up for. That this was my boulder to push, that this was my Sisyphean story. But eventually I had to sit down, look in the mirror, and face a harsh truth that this boulder wasn't building me anymore. This boulder was actually breaking me and taking me further away from who I wanted to be as a man, as a husband, and as a father. The gym wasn't failing, I was.
Sometimes, you've got to cut a little piece of yourself off, no matter how much it hurts, in order to grow.
Camus said we must imagine Sisyphus happen, but that's just a lie business owners tell themselves. Because at some point, when the rock keeps winning, you just can't be happy. You have to move on to a different rock. That's what owning a service business feels like. Clients, employees, payroll, turnover, expectations. It honestly never ends. You push and push, and you push with everything you have. You give it every single part of you. But every night, that rock is just waiting for you at the bottom of the hill again. So sometimes the only way to win is to just stop playing the game, to step away from the mountain peak. And that's what I did. I cut it off. Not because the gym was failing, because the gym wasn't making me a better man, a better husband, or a better father. It was dragging me much farther away from it. And that's the big lesson in all this. That's the big business lesson. The rock doesn't care. The mountain doesn't care. And if you let it, that grind of pushing that rock to the top of the mountain every single day will eat every single piece of you until there's nothing left for it to have. So sometimes the smartest move isn't to keep pushing, it's just to walk away.